Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out with top trainer Dave Coldwell. Dave, good to be speaking to you. We just had a little chat there beforehand. You're helping out, well, taking your son to training there. A bit of a baller yourself back in the day as well, too. Me, not so much, but how's life?
I'm very good, thanks, mate. Yeah, really good. Just buzzing at the moment, to be honest. Everything's going great. Lads are training really well in the gym. My boy's loving his football. My daughter's smashing a DJ. So life's good, mate. Really good.
Talented family, and also I saw a picture of another talent back in the gym in the form of Lerrone Richards, Sniper the Boss, back in the gym. When did this happen?
Couple, 2 weeks or something like that. About 2 weeks ago. Maybe this third. Yeah, very recently.
What facilitated the return for Lerone?
Um, I had a phone call from from his management and then a conversation with Lerone himself. Um, yeah, we've always stayed friends. It was never there's never any awkwardness whenever we bumped into each other at the shows. Um, so it was kind of like we had a chat and he asked for my help and I said yeah, okay, no problem. We're friends, so I'll do my best to help people that I think a lot I think highly of, and so he's asked for my help and we've got, it feels like we've got unfinished business. Won a European title, won the IBO World title against Gongora, and that was it. So we feel as though we've still got to do some more work.
When it comes to the cliche in boxing of X fighter has all the talent in the world, it's one of those sort of things where I used to hear about it with fighters, and I kind of like thought, okay, that's kind of labeled with everyone. But with Lerone, me personally, I kind of thought he was that type of fighter who definitely had that talent to take him to the top, but promotionally things weren't quite there. And I was really surprised to see him on the end of a stoppage defeat to Steve Woodall. Um, is it a big rebuild job to get Lerone back up to where he was?
Um, there's some work to do because style wise and how he was um and how I feel he's at now, there's a little bit of a job to do. Not the end of the world. We've done it once, we'll do it again. But maybe the fact that he's just being chinned will mean that other people are more open to fighting him.
Hmm.
Because that was the problem. Because he looked so good, he was so hard to beat, so hard. People don't want to risk it. And the risk versus reward, because he doesn't really open his mouth because he was very polite and nice. Um, and then he's not going to go out there, crash, bang, and wallop. Um, there's not much reward in fighting him really. So I don't think anyone wants to fight him. Well, I know now he's been beat, now he's been chinned. He's moving up to light heavyweight. I don't think he had any business still being at super middleweight. That's I know from what happened when he was supposed to fight Zach Chele. You know, it shouldn't have been two couple of years later. And two nondescript sort of fights, boxing above the light heavyweight limit to then go back down to super middleweight. You're 2 years older from when you were struggled before. You're 2 years older than yourself. It's harder when your body's growing anyway when you're getting older. Um, I don't think he should have been at super middleweight anyway. So at light heavyweight, there's some good names at light heavyweight, some very good fighters at light heavyweight. Um, let's see if we can get some fights made there.
What level would you want him to jump in like the short term at light heavyweight?
Oh, short term, I wanted to get I just want him to get a fight back.
Hmm.
Activity that was always a problem. I mean, I think before we parted ways, I trained him for over a year with no fight. I need him to be active. I need him to have fights. get a fight out quickly, maybe, you know, hopefully October, and then move on. You know, any of the domestic fights. You know, there's some great fights out there from a light heavyweight. You know, somebody like a Lyndon Arthur, who's is such a highly established light heavyweight. You know, that's a good fight. It's a tough fight, but it's an intriguing fight. Even for the fans, it's an intriguing fight. You know, it's a fight where you go, oh, you know, Linda's been around and been at the top end of that division, domestically and above for quite some time now. So I think that's a great fight. And then obviously you've got Willie Hutchinson and Boazzi facing off. Talent-wise, if Lerrone, you know, we've been working a couple of weeks now, and signs are all good. If Lerrone can get back to his very best, and talent-wise, I'll put him in with anybody.
The other side to it that you mentioned is that promotional side, and Lerrone has never really pushed himself. I was there in amongst people watching a conversation between him and Chris Eubank Sr., and Chris said to him, "Look, no one's gonna shout you out. You've got to shout you out. You've got to blow your own
Yeah,
trumpet." And I was still a little bit
yeah.
frustrated that Lerrone still didn't like do that. Do you think you can really kind of push him to really kind of, you know, shout himself out outside of just being in the ring?
I've said that. I said that to him when I had him before, and you know, his talent. It's not like he can't back it up with his talent and his abilities. He's got the ability to beat them all.
Hmm.
You know, he genuinely has. He's talent for talent and skill for skill out of everybody. And I'm not saying this because he's come back to me. I was saying this when he'd gone. You know, he is right up there, possibly the most talented boxer I've ever worked with. You know, I could when I look at what we look back on the sparring videos that we've got of the past, and you know, his fights with De Carolis, with Gongora, and I look at him skill for skill. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So he, he's got to find that again, and he's got to open his mouth. And he's got to, you know, people have got to be interested in him. You know, and I believe he will do. But if not that, maybe people don't like me enough that they want to see him get bashed and get that fight made anyway, get the fights made anyway. So I don't care either way. I just think the talent that he's got, he deserves to push on. He's a lovely kid as well. That's the problem with him. He's a lovely kid. You know, yeah, he just needs a bit of spite about him. And to be fair, in between the Gongora fights and us splitting, he was starting to be a bit more spiteful. You know, still with the same skills, but a little bit more spite and enjoying beating people up as such. It just needs to be like that, and allow himself to be a little bit more vocal in you know, in conversations, right? You know, nobody wants to hear, you know, "Oh, he's a nice guy. Yeah, he's
Hmm.
you know, I'm looking forward to the fight. It'll be a good fight. Best man win." Nobody wants to hear that shit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get your take on a couple of things in the wider sphere of boxing. First of all, we've got the rematch now announced at heavyweight between Frazer Clarke and Fabio Wardley. Wardley versus Clarke, I should say
Good
properly.
fight.
Who stands for you to be the winner at the final bell in this rematch?
It's why it's a good fight. I have no idea. It's why it's a good fight. I thought Frazer's jab was a real problem. Was a real problem for Fabio. Fabio's power and his athleticism was a real problem for Frazer. I tell you what, Fabio's a hell of an athlete. To be that big, to box how he does, and to be, you know, to be able to do that for, you know, for 12 rounds, that style sort of for 12 rounds, takes some doing. Fraser will have grown as a fighter, as a professional fighter, because of the rounds that they've shared before. It's just a really good fight. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to that. From right from the end of the fight, I couldn't wait to see a rematch, and I was hoping that the rematch to get made, and I was hoping that the rematch would get made next up, rather than when they go their own ways. Oh yeah, we'll meet later on, and then one of them ends up getting beat or whatever, and then it's not quite the same. This now, where they're going straight back into a rematch, I think it's brilliant.
Whilst no one will begrudge either fighter for getting the opportunity and probably the better paid over in Saudi Arabia, would you like to see this one in the UK?
Of course, of course. I'm, but I'm just a fan. I've got no skin in the game. I'm not one of the fighters. I'm not one of the coaches and management. I don't stand. So I'm just a fan. So as a fan, obviously, I would love this to be in Britain, headlining the MEN or the O2, wherever it is you want to place it. It is a headliner. It is a standalone main event. But these two guys are going to get paid a lot more money, and we saw the shots that they both took in the last fight. This fight is going to be as punishing, so they deserve to get paid what they can get out of it, and that's what they're going to get. Over in Saudi, it's a huge platform. It's on a fantastic main event. Eyes are going to be on it. Why not? They're going to get paid more money. We used to see, it's frustrating because it's two British fighters, but like I said, when it's your team, you got to look for the best deal for your fighters, and so why not? That's where the best money is, and the eyes are going to be at.
In your experience, I just wanted to ask you, I spoke to Fabio and you said, look, it's not going to be much of a problem, but I wanted your kind of tactical view on this as a coach. Have you ever had in your experience with a fighter that has maybe an apparent public injury or at least an injury behind the scenes? And this is in relation to Wardley's nose, which appears to be a target maybe for Frazer heading into the fight. Fabio said, it isn't. But when you've got something like that heading into the fight, which is seen as maybe as an inverted commas weakness, what do you do in preparation to make sure that it's not, or kind of stop your opponent from targeting that area?
Don't get it. Don't get it on your nose. If that's your weakness, don't get it on your nose. But unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, a jab does kind of go in the face.
Hmm.
Obviously apart from a body jab, but a jab is tends to be aimed at towards somebody's face, somebody's nose. Um, get your hand position right. Don't get caught. Take away the jab, and you don't worry about it. And Fabio is not a kind of guy that's going to be worrying about that sort of thing. Fighters, there are a lot worse things that fighters go into the fights with. Hand injuries, niggles in the leg. They've not been able to run. Bellew went into the hay fight with it had a cracked rib, and the first shot that Hay threw was a jab to the rib, and I was like, oh. So there's a lot worse things that you can go into these fights with, you know. Yeah, so I don't think Fabio's going to be bothered. Frazer's not going to be hell bent looking at a jab. Yes, yeah. Whether somebody's got a cut that reopens on the nose or not, you want to bust somebody's nose up anyway with that jab, and disrupt the breathing with the bleeding of the nose and things like that. You want to see that the effects of and the damage of your face when you're shooting that jab. You want to see their eyes start puffing up. That's what we're in. That's what they do in boxing. Boxing's brutal. So Frazer's going to be targeting that anyway, but it doesn't make him feel as though I'm going to win that fight because I'm going to tear Fabio's nose up. That nose was horrendous in that last fight, and Fabio just got on with it anyway as it was. So yeah.
That's one undercard which features a number of names and some good fights on there. Eubank Jr. returns to action against Kamel Zerameta, once a Golovkin opponent. How exciting does that fight rate on your excitement meter, Dave?
Don't ask me for a rating on it. It's an undercard fight. It's a suitable undercard fight, as as undercard fights are. Um, the show has got some really good undercard fights on, some really good undercard fights on that I am looking forward to, and I will make a point of making sure I'm watching. if I'm not there, that I'm watching. I'm watching on TV to make sure I don't miss that. What time is he on? What time's that fight? This isn't one of those fights.
Mm.
But to be honest, a lot of Eubanks had a couple of really good fights where you look forward to, and but he's had plenty of fights throughout his career, which is probably why his career's a little bit stale or been stale, where you're not really bothered, and this is one of those fights. I'm not really bothered by that fight. I'm more interested in the other fights on the card. Listen, I'm more interested in Shakur Stevenson against Joe Cordina. That's a Stevenson, an elite level fighter. Joe Cordina was a world champion until his last fight. For me, he was in control of the fight until he got hit on the break, and then he never recovered from it really, and couldn't change it back. And Kakashi was fantastic, but I just felt that you can say people. I've seen some people say, Cordina's rubbish. He's coming off a knockout, blah, blah, blah. It's still a good fighter. So it's, when you've got an elite level fighter in Stevenson, it's very difficult to get another elite level fighter to fight him, and so of course a lot of the fights are going to be where the levels you would see on paper are a little bit different, but very good. So I'm more interested in fights like that, like Fabio and Frazer, um, than Eubanks fight.
Where are you on your winner for the main event in Beterbiev versus Bivol? Specifically, more so with Beterbiev coming through with the injury. Now, I've asked fighters who are kind of more heavier set, who are kind of more muscle bound, and I've asked them as to when you have a leg injury, because what comes into my mind is, I don't know if you ever saw it, the clip of, and obviously it's different sports, but Tyrone Mings when he had the leg injury, and you could see the atrophy in one leg to the other one. And
Yeah.
when your kind of your base is your power here. Maybe the power might be affected in Beterbiev, which is a large part of his game. But does that sway in any way as to who you pick for the winner in that one?
Okay. So for years I've been Bivol. I've leant towards Bivol for years, and then Beterbiev's last couple of fights, sorry, I think his defense has got better, and his feet are brilliant. His feet are so underrated in how he cuts you down, but his defense has got better. And I thought against Callum Smith, his defense was outstanding. Um, and so I leant towards him. I thought, well, Bivol, after that first 4 rounds, it kind of like settles. But I thought maybe Beterbiev will be cutting him off, making him work, making him work, making him work. And he's so heavy-handed. I kind of then thought, well, maybe Beterbiev will beat him. But then now the knee injury, I'm thinking, does that slow him down, slow his movement down? And like you said, maybe does it affect the purchase on his shots? So I'm kind of, and the age that he's at, to come back from an injury like that, it's a major injury, especially when you're older. Does that make me favour Bivol a little bit more? Maybe, I think. I don't know. It's such a good fight. It's a fight I've been looking forward to for years. And I think at the beginning of the year, when people saying, "Oh, what's the one fight you want to happen next year?" For me, this is the one. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I don't know who wins, and that's what makes it such an outstanding fight. I kind of possibly lean towards Bivol again now, possibly, but it's ever so slightly.
I've got the last two topics to throw at you. First of all, when it comes to the conversation surrounding AJ versus Dubois, all the discourse has been that whoever is going to land their big punch first and whoever can land it the cleanest is the one who's going to win that fight. But I just wonder if that kind of negates the IQ, boxing IQ between the two fighters, especially more so Anthony Joshua, whose whole setup now with Ben Davison is to game plan, is to watch a lot of tape and is to, find the hole in the other fighter's game to land that big knockout. Are we kind of overlooking the boxing IQ of both fighters in this fight and just kind of going with that
Well,
heavyweight cliche?
but but in order to land a big power shot, it's not a new thing where you set shots up. It's not a new things where you look for gaps, you look for weaknesses. This is throughout boxing. People that just perceive as whoever lands first. Yeah, but you've got to be able to get your shot off. And AJ's had the experience of being in with people like Klitschko and countless. Look at even the fighters that are around today, around the top. He's fought the majority of them. Look at the fight. Look at his roster. He's fought a lot of good fighters. It's not just a case. It's like when he boxed Ngannou. It wasn't just about he went out and he threw that right hand. He set it up. He picked his moment when to throw it when Ngannou gave him the gap. He's got better IQ than what people give him, and obviously, with the team that he's got, he will be studying even more, and he will be even more open to taking on more information. But don't think Dubois is not going to be doing the same. Dubois is going to be doing the exact same, and I just think that Dubois. I've always said Dubois' defense could be the difference, or lack of. He was very, very easy to hit in his last couple of fights. Very, very easy to hit in his last fight with the straight 1-2, which is very, very dangerous when you're in against AJ. But it's a setup, it's a little feints, it's a little triggers that open up a gap. AJ is a lot more than just a one-punch knockout merchant. It's not even a one-punch knockout merchant. I think shown throughout his career. He's a good combination puncher. He's got good speed. When he boxed Andy Ruiz the second time around, he had good movement. He's a very good. I think he's a very good student of the game, and he always strikes me as a guy that can. That when he's given the right instructions, it can carry him out. I think AJ wins the fight, but it wouldn't. Listen, Dubois only got to catch him. Dubois can really punch, and he's got a very, very good jab himself. And he's a very good body puncher. That can't be forgotten about in this fight. He's a very, very good body puncher, and we've seen in the past if AJ is being hit around to the body, it can gas a little bit. I mean, it's not happened for a little while, but he's not fought guys that have really gone down there for a little while. I think Dubois goes low. I think he'll have a lot of success downstairs. It's a better fight than what a lot of people are trying to give it credit for. They're trying to make it out as it's just kind of one-sided. It's not one-sided. I do think AJ wins the fight because I do think that Dubois gets hit too easy. But this fight carries a lot of jeopardy. And if Dubois was to knock AJ out, I wouldn't be overly surprised. It wouldn't be like a Ruiz moment. It wouldn't be anything like that, And Dubois' confidence at the moment is just right up there.
Whose gas tank would you back on if it got to the later rounds?
Who misses more could be the one that runs out of gas quicker. It's not just about engine and throwing. If you're throwing and landing, great. Dubois, he's shown that he can go at a good pace now. He's shown that he's got that stamina to keep going. And with the heaviness of his punches, he probably lean towards him. But if he's throwing, and AJ is making a miss, then he's going to gas quicker. So it's not just as simple as saying, who's got a better gas tank. It's accuracy. Who wastes the punches more.
I only asked that because AJ's publicly admitted that he's not a 12-round fighter.
Well, I think if you're going at pace, if you're going at throughout both men's career, I think Dubois has shown he can work, he can grind out throughout the distance better than AJ. Well, like I said, AJ has been shown to gas in the past. We've always said, about his stamina. But maybe a lot of that mental stress, mental pressure, maybe it's more confident, it's more relaxed. It doesn't gas as much now because of that. But also, I still think that if you whack him around his body, he's gonna know about it, and that could be the difference. I think, I'd say probably if you're going to go on past form, then I'd say Dubois is probably the better stayer.
Lastly, I don't know if you've seen this clip or not, but Oscar De La Hoya taken to social media again. The clip was I don't know how to put it, to be honest with you, Dave, but you know, we see this sometimes sporadically, but a bit more increasing with Oscar alongside his promotional game and his clapback Thursdays, whatever it's called. That there's some videos or posts that he puts out there a bit more concerning.
What's he done now?
Have you not seen it? It's like I think he's dancing with
I
his
don't know.
partner, and he's scantily clad. Um,
Oh, I've seen that one. Oh,
yes.
he's on a pole. Yeah, and he's in. Yeah, Oscar's got issues. Um, or he's just very, very comfortable in letting the world know what he likes to do, which is yeah, it's strange behavior for a major promoter. Um, but I don't think he's a stable guy anyway. His behavior is very up and down, very erratic. Um, it's I'm from that generation that watched Oscar De La Hoya come throughout all his career as a fighter. What a fighter he was. Um, Unfortunately, as he's getting older, he's kind of um, he's not tarnishing his fighting reputation, but for me, he's in today's generation that don't remember Oscar De La Hoya as a fighter. That's what they see. That's how they think he is, um, which is a bit of a strange dude. Yeah, he's I don't know. He needs to he needs to stop doing what he's doing. Stop taking what he's doing. Trying to keep it a bit more polite. Yeah, he needs to stop taking what he's taking because it's not a good look for him. Certainly not suit him.
Dave, much appreciated. I appreciate the conversation. You taking some time out in your day. Enjoy the rest of the day and your weekend as well. Thank you so much for speaking to Seconds Out, sir.
Cheers, man.